I built an AI app that can replace auditors that get paid $100,000 per year using just Lovable and N8N. All the user has to do is upload the company's financial documents and optionally provide the website URL. Then the app analyzes all of these documents by checking for errors or signs of fraudulent activity, and even scrapes the company's website to gather additional information that can help with the audit. And based on that, it generates a complete audit report and sends it back in our Lovable interface. And in this video, I will show you exactly how you can build this app step by step, and also how you can sell it to major accounting firms for thousands of dollars, since it can perform the same work that senior auditors get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to do. So if that sounds interesting, let's get started. Now the first thing that we have to do is to build the front-end interface of our app, which we're going to do by using Lovable. And specifically for our app, I will come over here and type, I want you to build me a front-end interface for an AI Auditor App, in which I will be able to upload as many CSV files as I want, which are going to include data about a company. Then what I want you to do is to take the CSV files and send them over to this web URL, which I'm going to give it access to in a bit. And then I say make sure they're in text format and you don't actually send them as binary files. And then it's time for the link section, where I say also add in the option to insert a URL of a company, but this is going to be optional, it's not going to be a required field. And then I say make sure if they actually choose to insert a URL, you also send the parameter over to that webhook that's called link, which has the word yes if you actually did choose to insert the link, and if you actually did not choose to insert the link, it sends the word no. And then I basically tell it, so just send over the CSV files in that scenario. And then I tell it exactly how I wanted to create my front-end interface, which is to make the interface look modern with nice colors. And then I will simply come over here and click on enter. So now Lovable is going to go and start building a front-end interface for us. But while Lovable is building a front-end interface, let's go over to N8N and start building our backend. Alright, so I went over to N8N and created a brand new workflow, and now the first thing that we have to do is to add in our first step, which is going to be none other than a webhook node. And that is because a webhook allows us to connect the front-end interface that we're building right now in Lovable with a backend automation that we're going to build over in N8N. And as you can see, this webhook node has a bunch of settings that we can change. But the only change that we need to make is we need to come over here in the HTTP request and change it from GET over to POST, since that is the specific type of request we're going to have to use in order for us to be able to send and receive data from Lovable. So now all we have to do is to simply come over here and click on top of this webhook URL in order for us to copy it in a clipboard. And then we need to come back over to Lovable, where as you can see finished creating the front-end interface of our app. Now we can improve the way this looks, and we will in a bit, but for now let's get the core functionality of it nailed down. For what to do, we need to come over here in the Ask Lovable tab and say make sure you send all the data over to this webhook URL every time I click on process files. And now what I will do is I will simply come over here, paste in the webhook URL we just copied. And to also visually improve the way this interface looks, I will go over to Google and search for nice looking UI, simply find one that I like. Let's say I really like this one, for example. And then I will simply come over here and download it. And then come back over to Lovable, click on the plus icon over here and click on attach file, upload that file and say something like also make the interface look like the example I just uploaded. And then I will come over here and click on enter. This way Lovable goes and embeds this webhook URL inside our app and improves the design of the app, basically making it dark, just like the example we just uploaded. And boom, Lovable just finished making the changes, and as you can see, this interface does look significantly better right now. And now it's time to go and test it out to see if it is actually functioning as we want. So to do that, we first have to come over here and upload some CSV files, which are going to be these files over here, where I have the purchase invoices for that supposed company and also some sales invoices along with the bank transactions of that company, so our AI auditor can look inside these documents and see if there is any potential fraud that might be happening or some simple mistakes because somebody forgot to input some information. So since I have downloaded these files in my PC, I will simply come over here, click on select files, and then I will come over here and upload all these three CSV files over here, where we can see them in the uploaded file section. And now for the company URL, I'm going to give the URL of my own AI agency where I build AI systems for businesses. So if you're a business owner and you're interested in me building an AI system for you, you can click the link in the description and contact me through there. But for this example, I will simply come over here and copy this link, and I will come back over in my Lovable interface, paste the link over here, then I will come over to N8N and click on listen for test event. So a webhook is expecting to receive data, and then I will come back over to Lovable and click on process files. And as you saw, 2 succeeded, 1 failed, and that is very likely to happen when you are building this app yourself, simply because if we come back over in our N8N interface, we can see that we do in fact have an output over here, which means that we successfully connected it, but as you can see, we have separate runs, and we have 2, when we either should have 3 different runs for all the 3 different CSV files, or have 1 run which includes basically all the information from all the CSV files inside 1 array, and that is the ideal scenario. So to do that, we have to come back over in our Lovable interface and say something like, make sure you send all this data in 1 run and not in multiple ones. Basically send over an array that includes all the information from all the CSV files that I have uploaded, and then come over here and click on enter. And guys, this is an error I actually really faced when I was building a prototype for this app before recording this video. That's why I'm leaving this part inside the video to show you that you will probably face something similar and how you can go and fix it. And boom, Lovable just finished making the changes, which means that we can come back over to N8N, click on listen for test event again, and then come back over to Lovable and send it over again. And as you can see, this time, if we come back over to N8N, we only have 1 item, and if I actually scroll all the way down here, we can see basically all the information from all the different CSV files that we sent inside this array that's called files over here, which is exactly what we wanted, along with the URL of the website that we just sent. Now don't worry, because I'm going to include all the Lovable prompts that I used to build this specific app, along with the JSON file for the full automation in N8N inside my free school community, which I have left a link for in the description below, so make sure you go and join and you will be able to get access to all of these assets. So now what we have to do is to actually move on and build our backend automation. Now the first thing that we have to do is to basically analyze all the different files that we uploaded in our Lovable interface. So to do that, we'll come over here and search for OpenAI, and then I will specifically come over here and select message model. Now the first thing that we have to do is to come over here and select our OpenAI credentials. Now if you do not have credentials, simply come over here and click on create new credential, and then you need to come over here and input your API key, which you can find by going over to platform/OpenAI/API keys, and then coming over here and clicking on create new secret key. Then you simply need to come over here and give it a name. I will name it test, for example, and then I will come over here and click on create secret key, and boom, this is your brand new API key. So all you have to do now is to simply come over here and copy it, and then come back over to N8N and paste it in over here, and come over here and click on save, and boom, your credentials should be successfully created, which means that you can come and select them from over here. Then our resource will leave this on text, operation will leave this on message model. Then we need to come over here and select the model that we want to use. I will personally choose to go with GPT-5, and then we have the prompt box where we need to explain to our LLM model exactly what we want it to do. So let me turn this into an expression and open this up, and I will come over here and say, you are a professional auditor. Your job is to review invoices and bank transactions. You look for obvious calculation mistakes, mismatches between invoices and payments, missing data, and suspicious patterns. You're not a certified auditor, you only flag potential issues. I recommend what a human should check. Then I basically tell it what kind of information it should expect, and then I say, this is the data that you need to review. And what I did over here was I basically scroll all the way down here, took in this array that includes all the data that we have inside of Google Sheets, and I dragged and dropped it over here. But if I actually do that, as you can see, the LLM model cannot actually read this, and because it says object, 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 object. So to circumvent that, what we need to do is to stringify this. So how you can do that is by coming over here and copying this, then opening up your AI assistant and saying something like stringify this, and then pasting the snippet of code you just copied. And then the AI assistant is going to give you something like this. So simply copy it and come over here, delete it, and paste it in. And as you can see, I have already done this, so I'll simply delete this part, and the LLM model will be able to read all this data that is inside objects. Then I basically tell it the tasks that it needs to do, basically check the invoices, check if they're matching with the bank transactions, and list any potential issues that they have in a short summary. Now again, this prompt is going to be included in the assets inside my free school community. I can come over here and close this off, and then I can come over here and execute the step. And as you can see, this node is running and it's creating our analysis for us. And boom, it just finished executing. And as you can see over here, we have the analysis that it just gave us with different issues that might arise from the data that we just gave it. Now I do want to point that out. I actually did come over here and change the model to GPT 4.1 mini, and that is because GPT-5 simply just took way too much time in order for it to create the analysis. That's why I went over and changed the model. And now that we have analysis ready, it's time to actually go and move on with the rest of our automation. And the next step that we need to take is to figure out whether the user has also inserted a website URL inside our app, in which case we will need to actually go and scrape that website in order for us to retrieve relevant information from it. So to do that, we will have to come over here and search for an if node. And the reason we're using an if node is because we're going to have to come over here inside our webhook, scroll all the way down to where we have this parameter that's called link. We will simply take it, drag and drop it over here, and we'll say if this is equal to, and then yes, which means that if I actually execute this, this is going to be true, which means that the user did in fact insert a URL inside the app. Then we have to go and crawl that website and retrieve all the relevant information. But if you actually chose no, this branch is going to be true, which means that we can simply return our response back in our Lovable interface. So to do that, we'll simply have to come over here and search for a respond to webhook node, and then we'll simply have to come over here in our webhook and come over here in the respond parameter. It changes from immediately to using a respond to webhook node, which will allow us to actually be able to use this respond to webhook node. But since we did in fact insert a website URL inside our app, then we obviously have to go and crawl that website. So to do that, I will come over here and I'm going to search for an AI agent. And the reason I'm using an AI agent is because I want to crawl that website and also simultaneously generate a human-like response that I can send back in our Lovable interface. And now the first thing that we have to do inside our AI agent is to come over here and change the source file prompt from connected chat trigger node to define below, which opens up the user message where the user can tell the AI agent exactly what he wants it to do. So let me turn this into an expression and open this up so you guys can take a better look at it. And I will come over here and type, you are a financial auditing AI assistant. You have been provided with initial analysis results from the company's accounting data extracted from the CSV files. And now what I'm going to do is I will basically come over here, say something like, this is the analysis, and then I will simply open up my message model where we have the analysis that we did before, and I will simply take the schema and drag and drop it over here. And then I say you also have access to a web scraping tool that allows you to crawl the company's official website. And then we say the company's website URL is, and now what we need to do is to simply delete this part and come inside our webhook to where we have the exact website that we inputted inside a Lovable interface, which is over here, and then take the schema and drag and drop it over here. So our AI agent has access to the website URL as well. Then I say your objectives are to scrape the company's website, extract any relevant information, look for pages such as About Us, Investor Relations, Annual Reports, identify any publicly available data that could affect auditing things, claims of revenue, recent partnership, combine the information you scraped with the CSV analysis, and cross-check the scraped information against the CSV findings, identify consistencies, and a bunch of other instructions over here. Again, this full prompt is going to be included inside my free school community. And then I give it some important notes. I tell it to use a scraping tool on the company's official website, focus strictly on audit relevant information, so don't scrape irrelevant things. And then I tell it don't make assumptions, gather insights only from actual data. So now I can close this off. And what we need to do is to cover here and add in a chat model. So for the chat model, I will choose to go with OpenAI, and I will leave this again on GPT 4.1 mini. And then it's time I actually go and give our AI agent access to the tool that is going to use to scrape this website for us, which is going to be none other than the Tavily tool. Now I do want to preface this is a community node, so make sure you actually go turn on community nodes from inside your N8N panel, and then you will be able to find it over here, because if you haven't turned on community nodes, you are going to be searching for it and you're not going to be able to see it. And then you will see an install button next to it. Simply click on that button and then you will be able to come over here and select it. Now once you open it up, the first thing that you have to do is to come over here and select your Tavily credentials. Now, if you do not have credentials, simply come over here, click on create new credential, and over here you need to input your Tavily API key. Now, to find your API key, you need to go over to tavily.com and create an account. I will also leave a link for it in the description below, and then come over here in the API key section, click on the plus icon, give your API key a name, let me call it API, and then simply come over here, click on create, and this is going to create your brand new API key. So all you have to do is to come over here and copy it, and then you can come back over to N8N and paste it in over here. And after you do that, simply come over here, click on save, and boom, your Tavily credentials were successfully created, which means that you can come and select them from over here. Then on tool description, leave this on set automatically. On resource, we need to come over here and change this from search to crawl. And just so you guys understand the difference between extract and crawl, because a lot of people have this question, is when you're crawling a website, you're basically going more in depth in that website and are retrieving even more information than if you were just extracting information. That's why we want to crawl this website in order for us to be able to gather the most amount of information possible. So I'll simply come over here, select crawl, then operation will leave us on URL, and then for the URL, we can come over here in our webhook, take in our URL and drag and drop it over here, or we could also fill this in with AI. It doesn't really matter. So now we can close this off and we can execute our AI agent. And boom, as you can see, just finished executing. And if we open this up, we can see over here the full audit report, basically telling us its key findings, the moderate risks, a bunch of potential duplicate payments that could raise some alarms, and a bunch of other information. So now all we have to do is to simply return this back in our Lovable interface, which we're going to do by coming over here and searching for a respond to webhook node. But now, before we're able to execute both of these respond to webhook nodes and send our analysis back in our Lovable interface, what we have to do is to go back over to Lovable and tell it that it needs to expect to receive a response and also to create a section where it can display it. So to do that, I will simply come over here and say, make sure you expect to receive a response from the webhook URL, and you also create a section where it displays that response. And then I will come over here and send this over. So now Lovable is going to go and create this brand new section for us. And boom, Lovable just finished making the changes, which means that if I come over here and execute the respond to webhook node, and boom, now if I come back over in my Lovable interface, we can see this brand new section that is the audit report section, where it basically displays all the text that the AI agent generated for us. As you can see, we have a summary of our data sources, our key findings, which is moderate risks in unpaid sales invoices, confusion in invoice and bank transactions, some potential duplicate payments, payroll, invoice and bank transactions consistency exists, but some information about the payroll and a bunch of other useful things that an AI auditor will actually go and spend a lot of hours to find all this information, and we just managed to automate it with just a very simple automation in N8N. And I think you guys can see that this automation is nothing special. This is very simple, and you can obviously improve this even further. Maybe you can also automate the creation of some charts, which I have shown you how to do in a different video, which I'm going to put somewhere over here if you want to see how you can do that. But even as our app is right now, it is very valuable because it does solve a very core problem, which is basically automates the full auditing process that a professional auditor would have to spend days on, and it just does it in a few simple seconds. So if you want access to all of these assets, you can click the link in the description and join my free school community, where you will find all of these assets along with a very short Upwork course that shows you how you can get your first low-paying customer in Upwork. So if you're interested in that, definitely make sure you go and join. Now, how I personally would go about selling an app like this to accounting firms is by first going over to Apollo.io, which is a massive lead database which includes the contact information for a bunch of different companies. As you can see, they have 230 million companies, and I would come over here and I will search for something like accounting, since that is the niche that we're trying to target, and then this would give us a list for a bunch of different accounting firms that we can contact, which also includes their email address, as you can see over here. But we don't want to get all of these leads, we want to insert even more filters, and the first filter that I would use is I would come over here and select only verified emails. Then I would also filter for jobs, and I will select people that are higher up in the company, so CEOs, CFOs, managers, etc., etc. Basically people that have the decision-making power and they can say, yes, I'm interested in a system like this and I want to buy it. And then I would also filter for location. Specifically, I would select only Western countries, so United States, Canada, England, UK, Germany, Sweden, etc. etc. And finally, I would also filter for employees, and I will select anywhere from 1 to 200 employees, since if you go for companies bigger than that, they usually tend to want to work with more established brands, which I assume you're not one of those. Then after you have filtered for all of these things, you simply come over here and you export all these Apollo leads, and you go over to a platform like Instantly, which is a platform that helps you mass send cold emails, and then you will simply come over here, click on campaigns, and create a brand new campaign. You're going to upload all of your leads, then you're going to write some simple email sequences, basically the copy that your emails are going to have, and then you're going to share your campaign live, and Instantly is going to go and reach out to all of these people using the email copy that you just wrote. Now if that sounds a bit confusing, don't worry, because that is exactly what I show you how to do inside my paid school community, where I show you exactly how you can find leads using the Apollo method that I told you before, going through it step by step. Then I also show you how you can set up your cold email campaign in Instantly, and I also give you access to a bunch of email templates that you can use. And then I show you how you can message your clients to get them to hop in a discovery call with you, then how to conduct that discovery call and get them to agree to a deal right there and then, and also how to onboard them and to deliver the work. And that is only one of the multiple courses that I have inside my community, because I also have a full Upwork course where I show you how to do the exact same things, but this time with Upwork. And I also have 2 brand new courses where I show you how to build an audience on YouTube and on Instagram, and then leverage that audience and sell your systems and automations to them. As an example, very recently I closed a $10,000 deal with a person that initially found me from YouTube, and he was the one that reached out to me wanting a system just like the one that we built in this video. And to make it even simpler for you, I basically packaged all of these 4 courses into a 100-day roadmap, in which I basically tell you exactly what steps you need to take every single day in order for you to land your first high-paying AI and automation customer. And if you actually go through this roadmap and you don't manage to do that, because I'm this certain you will, I'm going to give you all of your money back, guarantee. And I'm doing that because I'm this certain that if you actually follow this program, it's almost impossible not to land your first high-paying AI and automation customer, and basically 5 to 10xing the investment you're going to make in my community. Plus, if you join, you will get access to exclusive N8N builds, along with the series where I document the process of me building my own AI SaaS. So if you want access to all of this content, along with getting access to a community of more than 150 members that are interested in AI, and most importantly, making money with it, just like you are, make sure you click the link in the description and you come and check out my paid school community. But also YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this video, in which I built an AI tax advisor app using just Lovable N8N. So make sure you go and watch that next, and I will see you over there.